Greetings, peace, everybody. Welcome to Community Radio. I'm your host, Kim, and today is Tuesday. So we are moving on along in the month of December. Before I get started, I wanted to just say peace to all the women on the call last night. As you know, we have a Monday night call for the women who are coming into Anu, Anu Ministries, and who are in the classes. And so we had another really great discussion last night. So I just wanted to say peace to them. I also wanted to send a shout out to Sister Lola. She reached out to me this past weekend, or strong in rather, and we got a chance to talk, which was really, really good. So we'll be having that discussion with Sister Lola, Michelle, myself, and maybe Nancy. I haven't heard from her yet on Thursday's show. So we'll be talking about some women's stuff. So looking forward to that. But anyway, today we had a suggestion from one of our listeners, Brother Anwar, who wanted to speak about Chief's book, The 14 Keys. And so the last time we talked, we were speaking about Christmas and, all these holidays that don't really serve a purpose for us, so we were just coming up with different things we could do to, not even to substitute, but to just get in the habit of adopting something else, something better in our culture for maybe this time of year or a different time of year. So he wanted to kind of go through these principles that are outlined in the book each day. And so if you're interested, you can purchase this book on Amazon. If you have downloaded the app, the Divination app, you can also get to it a little bit quicker, probably through the app, and order it as well. It's an awesome book. It gives you the foundations to starting a community, or to give you an outline of how to build community. So the book itself is comprised of what he says is 14 keys, and what it is 7 principles of Ma'at plus Nguzu Saba, 7 principles from Kwanzaa. And each of those, the first part, if you have been reading the book, you'll notice that the first part of the book is outlining these principles of Ma'at, which are feminine. These are all feminine principles. And they are, so of course we know feminine energy is internal. And then when we get into Nguzu Saba in the back, we have the masculine principles, which involve action. And those are external. And then so once you kind of get the foundation of what each of those keys are, then you kind of go into, he mates them up. So then you can kind of see how they interwork with each other, and how those things play out. So today we were going to kind of talk about the first principle of Ma'at, which was truth. And it also corresponds to Kujichagulia, which is one of the principles, one of the masculine principles. So these are 2 of the 14 keys. And I see Anwar is on the phone. So since he brought this up, it would be good if he would kind of lead us in the conversation on this topic. Let's see, I'll go ahead and bring him in. Greetings, Anwar.
Greetings, family. How you doing, Kim? Hopefully everything is well. Let me pull up this side real quick. Yeah, pull out my book.
But, yeah, I got books and notes and everything. I was like, this is going to be a doozy because there's so much to cover, just in talking about just the first couple of concepts. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, yesterday I celebrated truth. I didn't get a chance to set up my altar. I wanted to set up an altar for the days.
Mm-hmm.
And,
okay.
And you know, I've been out of town. I just came back, which was crazy because I had to experience a lot of truth during this one. First time I've actually not been working and try to take a quick little weekend vacation and go see my family. But that seemed like you need a vacation from a vacation when you go see your family. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Much love across the board. It was nice to talk to my dad. We got into a deep conversation about circular movement and straightforward movement. He referenced the word pragmatic movement, and I'll share that with the family because once I listened to him and what he was talking about, he made his example about him becoming a doctor, and he stated that he said, like, look, I didn't become a doctor because I just wanted to help everybody. I became a doctor because it was a good paying profession. That's what I did. It was just one of those things. I shot forward, did it, and it's paid off for me for that straightforward motion, that pragmatic motion, like how he was describing it. And he was talking about like circular thought, and I know he's referencing me because I was talking to him in that manner. And you know, I almost went through a nervous breakdown this weekend. So it was like one of those things. If it wasn't for him, and I had SU with me, believe it or not, I had SU riding with me all the way through. And the funny thing is my Lecky, the last day I'm there, and last day I'm doing the little things for my dad and trying to do some last minute shopping before he gets on the plane. I'm playing with my son, and I did a motion, and it snapped my leg block, my leg, and I looked at it like this. So I don't get freaked out by that stuff anymore. I looked at it as everything that he was here to do was finished. He cleaned it out. Because after that happened, I was stressed out. I was right in the middle of the mall too. We were playing around, and I did one of these flip modes, little movements with my son, and I had my Egun, I had my Egun Eleki, and I had my my Elegba Eleki on, and out of the two, it was just that one that cracked. So I already knew that was it. You know, I had to go get a coconut. I've been cleaning myself with this coconut. Look crazy cleaning myself with coconut this whole weekend because man, I'm talking about. You know, family does it to you, man. I'm telling you, family really does it to you.
They take you there.
They take you there, man. I was about to leave out my mother's house like 1 o'clock in the morning with my son and just go home. That's how bad it was on Saturday. It was just one of those things. But once again, I got a chance to kind of get into the truth that I had. So going into what we're talking about, you know, once you get into a place where truth is being shown directly to you, and you if you're not in a place, and this kind of goes back into the Orisha, when the Orisha show you, sometimes you don't, they come through so powerful that you don't know what to do. You go frantic. And when that truth hit me, it wasn't until like after everything was settled down and everything was going, the truth hit me, and driving back to Tampa, and then it really kind of struck me perfectly. So you know, right now I'm focused on the truths that I have, things that I have to do. My dad really straightened me out with the thoughts, and I'm taking those. This is good. This is the reason why it's good to have fathers in your life. And for the men, I said, if you have children, make sure you're there for your children, because it's really not just a financial thing. It's the mental support that fathers give to their sons. Right. And I even got a good amount of time to spend with my 18-year-old that I haven't seen in 18 years. I'm telling you, man, as soon as those boys turn 18 or as soon as they turn 18, you rarely see them. And
you're the old dude. They're not trying to hang out with you.
Yeah, I know, right? We're not cool anymore.
Right.
But yesterday I did post a passage from 14 Keys, the Truths, and just with that and going into that is that, you know, there's things that are what we would consider to be fact in our lives, and truths that we actually come to acquire in our lives. And that's really what he's breaking down with the first 7 concepts of Mahat, and especially breaking it down with the feminine. It's the feminine energy of truth. So we're really looking internally and digesting and keeping that truth from within, you know, and from that, you know, I'm still not really in the place.
Hang on just a second, Anwar. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm having some audio issues again with these. Oh, Blog Talk. Okay, let me see if I can correct it. Give me just a second. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you know, I found the truth, and I think this stanza or this paragraph that Chief wrote on in the 14 keys. I'll read it out loud so everybody gets it. This paragraph right here really breaks down the concept of truth. And here goes. Truth is matter in its actualized state. It is the soul of a force. All that exists around the truth is illusion. Illusion shrouds the potency of truth for those who have not developed the sensorium, which he was talking about on this past Chief Speaks, sensorium to witness the true forms of life and death, which are the materialization and disrobing of truth respectfully. We observe and experience truth's illusions through our 5 senses. And that stanza, and like that's what I experienced after everything was said and done. So that when everything was said and done, it was the everything that surrounded me and everything that came out of the turmoil, the chaos that was happening, where I was able to even wake up today and get more on target and start to get into what my dad was talking about with pragmatic thought, direct, clear, concise movement. And you know, it's funny because I told my dad, I said, I'm not really that familiar with the word pragmatic. There was a group, there's a group that used to come into my studio, and their company's name was Pragmatic Entertainment. And I never understood what it meant until my dad brought it up, and then I went to go do the research. So what I did with the truths that I found is that, you know what, I'm not going to be able to move from this position or where I'm at here if I keep thinking in this circular thought. I have to bring certain things into the forefront. I have to bring a direction into the forefront. And that was the main truth that I got, you know? So, you know, today, I haven't even done today. I think let me make sure before I say it wrong, man. I want to make sure I get it in this order. Justice is today, but we can get into that later. I'm still gonna do my I'll do a post on Facebook, and you know, I don't know if anybody wants to put together a group, but I'll do it on Instagram and Facebook, and then we'll kind of work from there and see if you want to join the group, and we'll do it like that. If we're still gonna do that way.
Okay. Well, that's up to you. You know what I mean? If you feel that in your spirit to kick that off, go right ahead. I think it's a good idea. I wanted to kind of expound on something that you said, because that was a paragraph that I had highlighted as well. And when it was saying it's the truth is matter in its actualized state, it's the soul of a force. One of the things that came to mind is that, you know, even as I'm working on this dreams webinar, it's all kind of coming together, is that when we say it's the soul of a force, we're talking about inanimate and animate objects. Like in the Yoruba language, like there is no word for thing per se, because they know that everything or every object or everything that exists has some kind of force behind it. So when we talk about truth in its actualized state, we're talking about, okay, so even if we're looking at a tree, you know, how did that tree manifest? It's saying like it's the matter. It's truth is matter in its actualized state. So what is the force, or what is the soul energy behind what manifested as a tree? You know what I mean? So it's like every time I look at something now, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, what is behind the energy of it that made it manifest itself in this physical form? Does that make sense? Can you still hear me, Amor?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah, so,
Just mute yourself.
yes,
Okay.
I put some on mute. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because like since you used the example of the tree, I'm gonna use the example of the energy that I was facing with my mother.
Okay.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And really, at the end of the day, it really wasn't just my mother. You know what I'm saying? It was all me. The reason why I was dealing with this and having her, I can't blame her for being who she is or doing the things that she does. It was just during time when I was manifesting a lot of chaos in my mind, and I wasn't able to express it in a better manner. So my nervousness in my own psyche was going haywire, and that's like the what would you say the physical and non-physical. I forgot the words that you use. Inanimate.
Animate,
I gotta work
and inanimate. Yeah.
Inanimate. Okay. Yeah. So that's an example for like the things that we manifest in our world, that it doesn't have to be, not that we have to can like touch it with our hands, but there's the energy that we develop and we make this monster, this demon that we're facing, and we're acting amongst it instead of sitting there saying, let me be quiet, let me listen, let me find out where the real source is. And I like even as me, I'll go back and I'll apologize. If I know if I was wrong, if this was a situation I was wrong in, I'll go and apologize. So it's we have to pay attention to those things that we're making, and the things that come into our lives, and the little problems that we face here and there. So
yeah. Even as just as you were talking, just speaking about animate and inanimate, the soul or the force behind animate and inanimate objects, it kind of brings me back to purpose as well. So, when you were saying, how things kind of go haywire when you are with your family, it's interesting because it's like you're learning all of this new stuff now. And so when you go there, you're kind of like analyzing your family with this new information that you have. And in that, you like you said, it can get a little chaotic because you are in the presence of your family in one way, and they're there, kind of like just in a completely different way. So you're looking at things totally different from the way they are, and you're trying to see certain things. So it's like, how is Anwar, expressed in the midst of all of these different personalities? Because they're displaying, personalities, and the spirit, all that stuff is emanating from them, and you're here. So like, if you know your purpose, or if you know who you are, the thing to do is to kind of just stand in that and just be that at all times. And sometimes it's hard for us, especially when we're, as we're learning, and moving along, like, how do you become unshakable in that? Because that's what truth is. In the book, it also says that, let's see, like truth doesn't depend on, it's not dependent on, whether people like it or not, or whether it's good or bad. Like that doesn't come into play when we're speaking about truth.
Right.
It says truth does not necessarily reflect or collude with perceptual realism. So it's like it just is. I had an experience recently with an Orisha, and it came through so strong that it just really opened my eyes to something. And that particular energy was Ogun. And after I had that experience, it hit me so hard. It hit me in a way where I was just like completely overwhelmed. And so even when you talk about the Orisha, like you said, when you come into the presence of these energies, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? Because you are seeing the truth of that energy, or the soul, or the force behind that energy. And so it brought me to find this particular Oriki about Ogun, and just about the brutalness, or the, just how violent Ogun can be. And, and it made me think of other patakis about Ogun, and just how strong that energy is. Like, it comes through to destroy on site, no matter, everything is like, and it just breaks everything down. And so when I had this experience, it was like, I saw some of this stuff in action. So it made me think about my own purpose, being able to see or recognize the purpose in other people, because some people don't have that vision, which is what you were reading in the book. Like it says, some of us don't have the sensory, we haven't developed our senses well enough to kind of sense that in a person, and just upon meeting. Some people can, what I mean? Like, they know who you are before you know. And that's kind of what, like the readings and stuff that Chief does. He's having like a soul conversation. So he's communicating with your soul during these readings. And so that's how, like, he knows what your purpose is and what you're supposed to be doing. And then, after the reading, you're like, well, how am I supposed to do all that? I'm so far away from it. But that's what truth is. It's like your soul, the force behind your soul. So, it's like it's completely indiscriminate. It just is. You know what I mean? Now, our personalities and all that kind of stuff kind of creates this illusion around, what the truth is. And that's when we start getting into facts and all that kind of stuff. But go ahead with what you were saying. I was just trying to get that out.
No, I was just going to add on to it, is that that Ogun energy is direct.
Yes.
It's so blatant and so forced. It's so in your face that sometimes you don't understand it. And that's
right.
And when I was thinking with Brother Byron, I believe, yes, Brother Byron, and he was talking about Ogun, I went back and I did my readings. I went back and just got the material I had, went back to the Grasping the Root of Divine Power, and did some study on Ogun. And yeah, it's direct, but there is a subtleness to him also. And the direction, the main path of Ogun might be very aggressive, but the subtleties that come out of it after the task is done, you'll find that, like, wow, okay, he put me in the direction. He cleared off the path for the direction that needed to happen. And it had to happen this way, because if it didn't happen this way, it probably wouldn't have happened. So that's how I kind of look at it a certain way too. But another thing to add on to a little bit that you said before is that when I went to go see my family, I had already put a whole bunch of nonsense into the mix, and I was already building that spirit, that soul, that force before I went, before I seen my father or seen my family, and I already had this force, so I put on my Chango. I put on my Chango and look at that. I got a ladybug on me right now. That's all right. On my hand, on my left hand. But I received this. I had built this thing first and foremost before anything. So yeah, I'm sorry, man. I just got distracted.
Okay.
It's cool. It's cool. And let me just get my focus here real quick. Give me a second.
Okay.
But yeah, I had built this body of crazy thought already before I even got into the mix. And that right there is when you kind of set yourself up already for failure. So goodbye. Yeah, my friend just
Ladybug
left.
Okay.
My ladybug just left. But
okay.
Just that whole entity that I built before I went in there, it kind of threw me off. In that, with that energy that I had, including all the other energies and all the other people, all the other personalities and characteristics of people that I had to deal with, made me kind of go over my edge, made me go over the limit. So, you know, like I said, those truths.
It took you out of? Did it make you shift or change?
It took me out of the purpose of the whole experience. Right. Was to go spend time with my father, my niece who was celebrating her birthday. You know, just all types of things. It took me really, it took me to a place where it was more self-centeredness, and I shouldn't have been there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So some of the things. So some of the things, like you analyzed it, is like, you know, that it shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have been that drastic. It shouldn't have been like that. But you learned a lesson, you know, and you see, you get the information that you need to move forward from that. So
are you saying like you went there? You weren't totally, I guess, in the experience. I guess at the lower level, you were kind of, you had something different in mind when you went.
When I went there, I was in a mode where it's like, you know, I'm in a very low point financially, low point spiritually. I feel a little drained, you know, coming from my birthday, because even from my birthday, all this stuff started happening on my birthday. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of energy was being drained from me from particular individuals in my family. You know, I don't really want to keep on putting the name out there like that. But I was being drained from my soul returned, and it was more like, you know, my soul returned. I actually turned 39, and for me, the numbers 3 and 13 are major numbers in my life. Okay, even my name that I was given through Ifa is equivalent of 10 and 3. Or in the Meridella Lagoon, it's 10 and 3. So with that name, it's 13. I was born on the 13th. I was born on the Tuesday. I was born at 3:55 p.m. in the afternoon. So all these numbers have been something that's been very it's been very something that I deal with every day in my life. It's a recurring number that happens in my life. And and I turned 39, so this is my third interval of 13. So it's a major change for me in my life, and I'm going through a major transition right now in my life. So I instead of going down there and digesting the energy that I needed, I was blocking that energy that was trying to come in because I had my own demons I was dealing with. And it wasn't until like I started driving back home and getting into my peace, getting into a place where I find a little bit security. And this goes back to me being a little bit of a hermit, that I was able to find these answers and find the energy that was connecting to me.
Yeah, I tell you, family brings it out. And especially around the holidays, it can be quite exhausting and overwhelming. And just this month period has just been an overwhelming month. I know that we are going through, like, I think it was a Mercury retrograde that just started. Someone, informed me of that. So you got that energy on top of it all. But this has been like just a really, really tough month for a lot of people. I know, like, even in the women's group, like, we were all just kind of just feeling the heaviness of everything that's going on, just trying to maintain some type of sanity through this whole thing, because it is just really tough. It's just been a really tough month for a lot of people. Yeah.
Let me tap into that real quick. Okay, retrograde. It's an illusion. Mm-hmm. It's an illusion. There's never a time that Mercury really stops its rotation. It's just the way we look at it here from the planet doesn't look like it looks like it's moving backwards. But during this time period, they say it's like a hard time. But if you understand the concept of a retrograde, it's revolving, it's bringing back, right? So with that, you got the way I'm using it is that I'm using it as a reflection time to make sure that all my T's, my I's get crossed, all that stuff is dotted. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to get out of the retrograde on the 31st, which is another number for me because it's opposite the 3 and the 1. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be I don't want to have any of my paperwork not completed so I can file them afterwards. I want to have all my ducks in a row when it comes down to opening the new business. I want to have all the paperwork ready for that. I want to have, I have a directed place where I'm going to take my Mercury retrograde to make sure that I take the time out to reflect on all the things that I need to have done for me to be in a better spot in January. So there's a direction that you use with Mercury. I try to stay away from that whole theory that, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, bad things going to happen to me. Because I think that just enhances the function of it. And if you, and the way I look at it is that, let's get inside some truths. You can find a lot of truths during this time. So find them, reflect on them, do everything that you do inside of the reads to get those things back in balance and in tune with where you're going to go afterwards. I don't do anything. I won't do anything major from here until the 31st, and even after the 31st, I probably won't really get anything started until the week after. So just for my advice and how much I can give it was just make sure you get inside the reads during the retrograde. So
Chief has broken this down in one of the shows. I can't remember which show it was, but he broke down the whole thing behind Mercury retrograde, and it's a period of when melanin. It's like when melanin is kind of like highly active. And so when we're talking about melanin, you're talking about that dark, chaotic, feminine energy. And so for some, it's like, going into that black hole, so to speak, that darkness, it's a transforming energy. So things are, that's why some people look at it as maybe negative, because it's a period of transformation and it's a lot of, that dark, chaotic energy going on. But it's been interesting. I'm going to bring in this other caller real quick, Omar. Let me go to this caller. 904.
Hey, how you doing, Sister Kim? Hey. How you doing, Brother Omar? This is Tareem. How y'all doing?
Hey, Tareem, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Peace to y'all. I just wanted to know, should we be embracing the energy of, like the moon, the feminine energy, like right now for our melanin, as far as like with the Mercury retrograde and everything? Like, should we be doing, any rituals or anything like that to be, embracing that? Because I was listening on the YouTube, and I don't know if y'all heard of the two intellectual twins called Red Pill and Blue Pill.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Y'all know about them? Okay. And they was talking about, the number 44, and they're talking about, Donald Trump being the 44th president, and, the different stuff that they did, the rituals that they did to pay homage to, Mercury, Mars, that's, the Mars building, where they have the god Mercury outside the building. That's where they make all their laws at, and it's a whole lot of stuff surrounded by the number 44. They was talking about, different stuff. So I was just wondering when you had just said that, Sister Kim, about the melanin being, like hyperactive around this time, I was wondering, like, is it any way that we could partake in the energy that's being transmitted, to Mother Earth for our own natural benefit, those, melanated brothers and sisters?
Of course. We kind of talked about that on the last show when we were talking about celebrating holidays and things. We know, like, there's a lot of energy, that's put out there around this time. And like, even if you don't celebrate Christmas or whatever, there are, you can still kind of tap into some of that energy and transform some of that energy for yourself or use it for yourself. It's like, for me recently, like I said, this has been like a really high time for like rituals and dreaming. Like, my dreams have been like extremely vivid lately and extremely active. So to me, that kind of, when we talk about melanin and activating that melanin, I think it's a good time to do some pineal work, to activate your pineal gland or your third eye, or we say first eye in our new. But a good time for meditation, maybe even fasting. Just different things that you can do to kind of activate that pineal gland, to kind of bring you into that space, I think is a good time. As far as the whole, all the, the symbolism and thing that you spoke of, sometimes I try not to get too wrapped up in that, because you can analyze something to death. And a lot of that stuff is just kind of hyped up to spook you. You know what I mean? To spook you about different things. I think it's important that you kind of find out some of this stuff on your own. You know what I mean? Just
That's
like, like a lot of people think the Mercury retrograde is a bad time. It can be, depending on, how you take it. You were saying something about working with the moon. I have no problems with that at all. I work with the moon all the time. I'm very aware of moon cycles. Some people don't, but there's not one particular way to tap into feminine energy or to tap into masculine energy. We have so many emanations of those energies in creation that there are tons of ways that you can kind of tap into that. So I don't think there's one particular way, like one is better than the other or whatever. It depends on the person. Even with, you were speaking about Mercury. Mercury involves communication. So that's another reason why people are, when they say Mercury retrograde, because things can kind of get lost in communication around this time. Or, just everything surrounding trying to communicate, or speaking and understanding and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I try not to I don't get spooked out by some of that stuff, because you can analyze something to death. Oh man, 4 means this. You add it up and get 8. 8 means this, and da 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 da. You break it down. Is it? I mean, you can just go on and on and on and on and on. What does all that mean for you?
The circle of thought.
Right. Exactly.
Just to add on to that, and it's funny that we're talking about it because this is part of the last reading that I got from Chief, the Odu I got from it, and it brought me while we were speaking. It just came to my mind. It's talking about the black disc, and we through the black disc to help you out. You can always call forth on the Iami. And that's something that men can do. They don't really have to do too much for them. You get your female counterpart, your complement to give the offerings, but you can. It took me a while. It took me a little bit of reading and understanding on how men deal with the Iami, and I think there's certain other ways. There's probably more depth in dealing with it. But calling forth the mothers and trying to get that black disc in rotation and pulling something from that black disc and moving forward with it. So, the Odu that I was given from Chief was also spoke on the concept between carbon, the relationship between carbon and nitrogen. And this still is one of the things that I'm talking about. I had to go back into the plant. I was doing research on it and how the plants decay and how they grow. Plants need nitrogen to grow. Carbon is released also. So nitrogen is an offshoot from death, any kind of dying, any kind of decaying. And carbon is one of the things that comes out of that also. It needs another function. It plays another function in the growth part of the plant. So, or anything, even if you talk about us, the human plant, we also need carbon, which is melanin in general. So the melanin, if it's super active right now, understand that your carbon is super active.
Right.
And you're going to need the water. You're going to need the proper nutrients to keep that disc from spinning, I guess, to a certain degree. But I think the masculine portion of this is actually pulling the concept from that disc and shooting it out wherever it comes out of the spiral. So, and it's going to come out as a spiral. When you're rotating, if you think about just science, anything going in a circular pattern, when you jump off it, it comes out in a circular motion. It doesn't come straight off the disc. It's going to come out in a spiral. So you think about how when you make any of your thoughts, it's going to come out with that curvature, that spiraling action coming off the disc. So I don't know if that helped anybody with the concept of what Brother Tareem's talking about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Also, just to add, when you're speaking about carbon and we're talking about melanin and transformation, you can create a lot just out of melanin. When you add in that masculine energy, because carbon is the basis of organic chemistry. So, and it's one of the elements that's easiest to bond with. So, a lot of different compounds and everything are created just from carbon. And of course, like you said, carbon is melanin. It's just black. It's the basis of chemistry. So that's just something else I wanted to add. I'm going to bring in another caller. Let's see, 416. By the way, if you'd like to call in, make a comment, or if you have a question, the number is 515-605-9862. Okay, 416, greetings.
Greetings, Sister Kim. How are you?
Peace. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been listening. I just didn't click in, but I wanted to say I, too, have been having some very, very vivid dreams for the past week. It's really, really strong. So I wanted to tap into that part we were talking about. I don't really know much about the retrograde, but I do know that the experience over the past few weeks has been really different. I don't know what the word right now. Really. So it's been up and down. I mean, like with our women's group, we saw it go down, and then we've seen everybody coming up, right?
Yeah.
So it's been that way for me too. But I wanted to say you're not the only one going through that vivid dream thing. That's happening with me as well. I've never had dreams so clear as they've been getting this week.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that, but
I know I am.
Yeah, I actually went into trance in a dream and out of a dream. So it was that was like
I was gonna ask, what is that? What is it when you're not sleeping? Like I had that happen to me yesterday, where I'm not sleeping, not dreaming, but it was so vivid, and it just came out of nowhere. I don't know what that's called. I guess a vision would be the right word.
Yeah,
vision would be the right word. Yeah, and it was very, very powerful. I've experienced it before, but not to that extreme. So I don't know if it's because I'm getting more in tune with myself or in tune with my spirituality. It is.
It's a highly active time, like we were just saying, for melanin. You know, so you're being taken into that dark energy. You know, that dark transforming energy. So if you like something as simple as, you know, sleeping in a room that's completely pitch black, you know, is one way to activate that pineal gland or to activate your first eye. And so for me, especially, you know, I do that all the time. So it's like you're trying to, you know, awaken that eye or whatever. And so, of course, your dreams are going to be, especially during this time, I think for a lot, like you said, a lot of people are experiencing like really, really active dreams. So I think this is a really good time to break out that dream journal.
I was actually thinking about that last night. I haven't been writing it for quite some time, but I definitely will be, because I'm getting them every night now. Whereas it wasn't as much, but it's every night I'm dreaming something. It's like I'm not keeping up with it if I don't write it down.
Yeah, and so just to let you all know too, the Dreams webinar will be out soon. That's one I'm currently working on. So working on that one, it's so interesting. Every time I'm doing one of these webinars, it seems like I'm going through whatever it is I'm working on at the current time. So it's interesting. Tareen, did you have another question that you wanted to ask, or anything you wanted to add to those comments?
Well, yeah, no, I was just listening to y'all and everything, but I was just wondering, like, what different things that I could do, like just different little subtle, you know, rituals that I could do to invite that type of energy, you know, into my melanin, you know. So I was just trying to, you know, ask that question to see what we can do. And I just paid for your water magic webinar, but I don't know, it might be my phone or be a little slow or whatever. So I'm actually, you know, trying to get into that too. So I'm working.
Yeah, I go over a lot of those techniques in the third eye webinar as well. That one is available. So if you're looking for some things, to do, they're in that class too. But it's again, it's a really interesting time, you know, really, really interesting time. Just so you all know. Yes.
What I've learned, what I've seen that something that's been working for me when I go to sleep is to make sure I get at least 8 ounces of water before I go to sleep, and making sure that I have a book right next to me for that dream journal. So, you know, that water, I think sometimes we go to sleep a little bit dehydrated, and I don't think the memory, you know, like your blood, if your blood ain't hydrated properly, you know, you kind of lose the energy that's in your body. So I want to put that out there.
Definitely want to stay hydrated. Yeah. Water is a vehicle for communication. That's why we pour libations. When we pour libations or pour out certain liquids, we do that, and we speak words of affirmation over. We do in order to communicate. Water is a moving, living organism. So that's one of the reasons why we use water when we pour libations. So water is definitely important, and it's definitely linked to dreaming, which is why there was another commercial I put out. I think this was during the herbs webinar. You can find it on the page, but on our YouTube pages. But one of the rituals that you can do to help, you know, to get answers in your dreams is to take a glass of water, put it by your bed, like Anwar said, and also take a bowl of water and put like a small little tea light in the bowl and light it. Focus on that flame and ask a question, whatever it is, whatever question whatever question you have in your head, you need answers to. You keep repeating that question as you are staring into that candle flame, as you fall asleep, and that will help activate your dreams too. But what you should notice is that we keep talking about water, adding water, and that's because it's a great vehicle for communication.
Hey, Kim, just to let you know, you're having a little bit of distortion on your end.
Am I?
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on. Okay.
We can hear you fine, but it's crackling a little bit.
Yeah, I don't, it's something going on with, I can hear you all fine, but sometimes it chops up and it breaks up too, so I'm not sure if it's blog talk or what. I don't know how to fix it because I can't hear it. So maybe it'll clear up. If it doesn't clear up, just let me know. Okay.
Okay.
For just to let you all know, we've got about an hour left. So the number is 515-605-9862. Just press the number to come in and heard. If you have a topic or a question, make sure you call in. This is a community show. We're all just kind of talking about some things Anwar wanted to bring up or to talk about some principles that were in the 14 Keys book. And so we were talking about that. I don't know if everybody has a copy of the book just yet, but if you are a student, just so you know, like books are supplements to the class. So they are something that you need to eat and digest, so to speak. The 14 Keys, it's a bit of a piece of work, so it may take you a little bit longer, but so are the other books. Even Grasping the Root of Divine Power, that's like one that you'll find that you keep going back to over and over and over. It's going to be like reference material almost. My book is falling apart. So, but the 14 Keys may take you a little bit longer to get through. And but once you get into it, it starts to flow a little bit better. You know what I mean? It's just initially it's like, what? Wait a minute, let me read that paragraph again. Let me go back. I had to read like certain paragraphs over and over again because I was like, wait a minute, because it kind of tests your vocabulary a little bit, and you want to make sure you're getting the right thing. So it took me a couple of times, but it's like once you start, once you're in the flow of what you're reading, it goes a lot easier. So for me, it was like it was kind of hard to. I read it and then I have to go back and chop it up into small bites. Make sure you check it out. Again, if you have the app, it's easy to get to. You can just visit the store through the app, or you can go to Amazon and purchase that book. Yeah.
But when you get that book, Chief's gonna learn you good.
He's gonna learn you good. Yeah. So what else is going on? How is everyone? Well, it hasn't passed yet, has it? No. Okay, it's coming up. I was going to see how everybody is faring with the relatives and with family and everything that's going on. Are you celebrating? Will you celebrate? How you will celebrate? Just to kind of see how everybody's doing. This could be a tough time for a lot of people, especially like if you are not of that mainstream kind of culture, American culture, where you're not celebrating Christmas. How's everybody handling that? How's it going, Aurora? What do you have? Well, you told us what your plans were. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, good.
For me, I do not celebrate Christmas. I haven't celebrated Christmas for quite a few years now. However, I'm having difficulty when it comes to my family understanding that, and that me and the children are no longer doing that. It's so, I'm having a difficult time trying to figure out how to give the kids some form of celebration without it being that, because, I mean, we used to do Christmas. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. I heard a suggestion on one of the classes. I'm not sure if it was Anwar. It was somebody suggested doing the 19 keys, starting at today or yesterday. 14 keys, sorry. I was saying the 19th, which was supposed to be yesterday. I'm not sure if anybody started doing it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good idea for me myself. But I'm kind of stuck on what to do with the children in that aspect. But, you know, they're young. My children are between 7 and 12. So it's like, okay, they still have that where all their friends are doing Christmas, the family's doing it, and all of that.
Yeah.
I have one daughter who I just let go to New York. Like, I live in Canada, and she's with my family in New York, and I know they're going to make her celebrate it, regardless of what I think.
Yeah.
So then I'm looking at the other kids. What do I do? So I'm not sure how everybody else is handling this, but for me, I'm having a bit of difficulty with this.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's tough if you are female and you have no male that's the head of the household, because usually they just shut all that down. Like you wouldn't have an issue with that.
Right.
But it's like you know, if you are a single woman, it's like, you know, people feel like they can kind of come in and direct you, you know, as to what you can do, because they feel like you haven't set down any ground rules or set any culture for yourself. So it can be difficult. I haven't celebrated Christmas in years, and still with family, like they, you know, sometimes it's gotten a whole lot better, but sometimes they still try to push it on my daughter. You know what I mean? Just because I you know, I have to, you know, stay firm, you know, and she knows that we don't, you know, she knows we don't celebrate Christmas, so it's not that big of a deal, you know, even for her anymore. So they know, like, don't expect, do not start sending presents, do not start, you know, or asking if you can give her stuff, because you already know. So it's not as bad as it used to be, because I haven't done it, you know what I mean, in so long. But, you know, just like you said, you still kind of probably want to do something. And that's even kind of strange, because even if you decide to do something, it's still like you're trying to compensate.
Yeah,
well, we don't have Christmas, so I feel guilty, so maybe we should do something. You know what I mean? And me personally, I don't really I don't really do that around this time. If we do something, it's not going to be some huge elaborate thing, just because I don't even want to, you know, kind of get her into that habit. But, you know, this is a time when she's out of school, so of course we do more stuff because she's around more. But I don't know. For me, I don't really want to get into that. Well, let me substitute something for Christmas so she won't feel bad. You know, I don't want to say that message to her. You know what I mean? So
that's the same thing that I'm dealing with, because, like, I don't want them to feel like, okay, here's a substitute, so we don't do Christmas, we're going to do this, but it's still right in that time, right?
Right.
So I haven't. I that's what I've been stuck with. I've been battling myself with that, because it's like, okay, I know I don't want to do that, because then I'm still setting them up where next holiday we're going to have to do this at night. Right. You might as well celebrate.
Yeah. So what you have to do is, again, going back to culture, you have to implement your own culture and celebrate those holidays. Go by that calendar. You know what I mean? And perhaps kind of try to ritualize every day, so that, you know, there won't be like the spike of when we're supposed to actually celebrate, or like I said, you know, choose or make up your own holidays. Or, you know, if your culture has, you know, marked certain holidays, make sure you do big things then to break them from the habit of all of this. You know what I mean? I know some people do Kwanzaa. I think I've only done Kwanzaa like maybe once, And
I've
that
never
really
done it.
wasn't.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, and even when I did, it was like a church ceremony. You know what I mean? It was like they were just kind of reciting each principle and lighting the candles. It really wasn't I don't know. To me, it just didn't feel real. Again, it just felt like a substitution for something else. Well, we're not gonna do this. We're gonna do the black version. And I hate that, you know, when we do stuff like that. When they give us something, it's like, oh, that's good. Let's do the black version. Let's do the black. You know, like no, like create something completely different. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know a whole lot. Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of the reason why, like, with what I was projecting to do was that with each principle that we cover on each day, is that we're actually going to do something or relate something into those principles. Like today's going to be justice, so we're going to have to really kind of think about what would be justified. Well, what is justice? What is the concept of justice? So
yeah,
and I think for me, I think this is going to be more of a learning opportunity to really get deeper inside the principles.
right.
Like I stated a while ago, is that I'm more of a manual reader, step 1, step 2, step 3. So when I read the book, I read it in that fashion. So now I'm just using these principles as they go per day. I'm focusing on that one. What can I do to see what justice is, what reciprocity is going to be, you know, and going down the list. You know, I've already experienced truth. I've already experienced truth. I got my little glimpse of truth already. And damn it, I'm still looking for Rudolph. I'm gonna get Rudolph, man. Rudolph and damn trees.
Oh my gosh, you terrorized everybody in the neighborhood. Just down the lights and everything. I tell you.
I'm gonna show you a prime example of what I was talking about. I'm gonna take a picture of one of these houses in my neighborhood. I'm talking about it's crazy. The whole house, the backyard, the whole house, the trees, everything got a light on it.
Wow. If that's how they want to celebrate, that's how they celebrate, you know. throw a bimbe on your front lawn.
Yeah. I was speaking with brother Bamboo also this weekend when I first arrived at my sister's house, and I'm telling him, like, I'm looking at the damn Christmas tree right now, live. it was one of those live Christmas trees, right? So I'm smelling the tree just dying away, just rotting away because I smell the pine just going throughout the whole house, and I'm looking at the tree lit up, got the balls on it and everything. I'm looking at it like, oh God, I just had a conversation about this. And I'm telling Brother Bamboo, I'm like, yo, look. But it was crazy. It's you know what? One thing I will say, I'm more lightheaded with the situation because I know that everybody doesn't think like me. And I'm trying to be open-hearted with the situation. But I'm having problems with people assuming that I'm participating in it. Because
that is that word.
And that. Yeah, it's like, look, I'm not. I had to tell my son's mother, like, I'm not celebrating that. I'm not doing it. I'm not going through it. You're not going to. If you want to take your child and celebrate that, that's fine. But that's not what I'm going to be promoting to him throughout this holiday. So.
Yeah, that's the worst because everywhere you go now, everybody, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I thought about this yesterday. I said, you know what? The next time somebody says that to me, I'm gonna come back at them with something that I know that they don't celebrate. See what the response will be. If somebody tells me Merry Christmas, I'm gonna say, well, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy, something just off the wall. I'm gonna see. I just want to see what the response will be. Ramadan. Yeah. Just because it's like, why do you assume? And it just makes me think back to our conversations about culture and Black people having no culture. It's like we don't walk up to Asian people and say Merry Christmas. We don't walk up to a Muslim and say Merry Christmas. But just regular Black people, you just off the bat assume you know, they just assume that we all participate in it. You know, this white lady said it to me yesterday, and I had to catch her because a lot of times when people say that to me, like I act like I don't hear it. But then it's like I was like, well, I don't want to be rude, so I'll say something back to her. But I'm just like, you just assume, I guess, because I'm African American or an African in America, that I celebrate Christmas. And I don't know, it's just interesting to me, like, you know, how everybody just walks around just assuming that you do this. And, you know, I guess it's because we are intimate physically. It's a Christian country, you know, whatever. But I'm just start catching some people off guard. I'm going to just throw out a holiday when they say it.
Yeah, you know, another thing that might be a little aggravating to me is that throughout the whole year, you guys, a lot of people don't say nothing to anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In the South, you know, you say hello, people say hello back to you, but no, 9 out of 10 times throughout the year is you rarely, how's your day? How, are you well? You know, none of that. But Merry Christmas, yo, Merry Christmas.
Right. Merry Christmas. Yeah.
You don't do any kind of community service. You don't donate any cash until Christmas comes. And then you feel sorry for homeless people that are in the cold. Now all of a sudden you're unloading your closet from stuff that you bought that you don't wear, don't use, and you go to a homeless person and give them a whole bunch of your stuff, which is cool. You know, it's cool to do that. I'm not saying that's not bad, but at the same time, you could do that January, February, March, April.
You know, it's not a fad. You know that it's not a fad. You know, it's like, you know, it's just like, you know, when celebrities started carrying around these tiny little dogs. You know, it's just like a fad. You know, they're just doing it, you know, to be in. It's like in fashion or something. Let's volunteer. You know, let's go to a soup kitchen or something and volunteer at Christmas. Like, it's just become like the thing to do.
And wouldn't that be part? And wouldn't that be part of something that we're talking about with the 14 keys called reciprocity? So wouldn't it be more healthier if we practice that throughout the whole solar cycle instead of just 1 month out the year?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it really would. Yeah, but that Merry Christmas, that's just automatic Merry Christmas. I'm like, whoo, here we go.
And the funny thing is, the next one after Christmas is gonna be Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy New Year. What you doing for New Year? Watching football. Drinking.
Drinking, watching football, and overeating. That's the thing to do. Can't leave that one out. Yeah. American culture, isn't it great? Isn't it great? I just kind of wanted to go back to something we were talking about in the book, going back to what we were discussing about truth. And what I want to bring out is in the way it's kind of divided up. Again, you have 14 principles taken from the 42 declarations of Ma'at, and then you have Nguzo Saba. So the first seven of those principles include, let me see, I've got it here in my notes instead of flipping through the book. Y'all listen to me flipping through all these pages. But you have truth, justice, reciprocity, harmony, balance, order, and right. And these are feminine energies. These are internal things. And then the second half of the book, you have the masculine energies, which incorporate the 7 principles of Nguzo Saba, which are Umoja, unity, Kujichagulia, self-determination, Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility, Ujama, which is cooperative economics, Nia, which is purpose, Kumba, which is creativity, and mind space. And these are the masculine aspects. These are the things that click out. So, of course, they are active. And so one of the ways we kind of put all this together after he has gone into explanation on what all these principles are, there is a section where he links the concepts together so they're matched up then. And so this may make, when Anwar was saying he's trying to find a way to, outwardly display some of these principles, he links them up together. You got the internal on one side and the external. So like today, I put out the meme and truth matches up with Kujichagulia. So you have harmony that goes along with umoja or unity, truth with determination, justice with collective work. So these principles work together. And then he gives you an example or breaks it down once they're matched up together. So even with the one I chose today, which is truth and Kujichagulia, there's a passage that I wanted to read real quick where he says that truth is the sincere form of all forces. So when those forces create a character which defines its own avatar, truth distributes. This core essential substance we call truth is the will of all phenomena. It has no inclination of morality, so it cannot be regulated to good or bad. Truth is not judged by its manifestation, but by its relevance to the quality of the observer's life. So this is something that's really important because I was speaking with someone that reached out to me this past weekend too, and we were talking about purpose, and we were talking about the class and the first exercise. And for a lot of people, the first exercise in the Anu training phase 1 is the hardest. And people are like really afraid to do this exercise. But it just what the exercise does is it just kind of reveals something about yourself, the truth about yourself that you're probably seeing for the first time. And so for some, it's like they think that going in class, everything is characterized as good or bad, for them. And they feel like maybe they're doing wrong or bad. And so when I was talking to this person, we were speaking about the energy of Eshu or Legba in a different tradition. And how Legba is the gatekeeper. He opens the door, like you have to go to this energy first before you can get to any of them. And one of the things I was pointing out to her is that for a lot of people, they think Eshu is the devil. And this is because Eshu, of course, has like one foot in this reality and another foot in, another reality. He kind of walks on both sides. And so for like Papa Legba, for example, like you'll see him, it's this really raunchy energy, maybe doing drugs, drinking, smoking, dancing, grabbing himself. It shows up as this really raunchy energy. But Shu is also the one that kind of bestows Ashe, activates and bestows Ashe on us, gives us that power. And so again, before you go to any Orisha, it said that you have to go through Eshu first. And one of the things that I was trying to point out is that just the duality or the dexterity of Eshu or Legba, if you want to talk about Legba, is like he makes you check all of that at that door. So before you go to Ogun, Oshun, or any of the other Orisha, it's like he's telling you, look, check that good and bad stuff at the door. You got a problem with me being raunchy or being, or being this or being that. Like you got to get that out of your head before you pass through the gate. Because what you may see, it's not necessarily considered good or bad. It's just truth. It just is. This is just how this energy is manifested. So you can't come through that door with all of your judgment and all of your, I'm doing something wrong. Oh, that's bad. That's good. You can't do that. You can't do that with Eshu. And so for some people, like That's why that energy is so scary for them. SU energies are actually really interesting people. I like SUs, but you can't do that with SU. You know what I mean? You got to check all of that at the door. So, like, even just this first exercise, going into phase 1, it's like, everybody's like, oh, this is black magic. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, I'm scared. I don't know. Is something bad going to happen to me? What am I conjuring up? Is this going to, like, and like that's the hardest one for a lot of people, because it makes them have to, like, this is the doorway into this phase. Like, so you're gonna have to check some of that at the door. If this is gonna be difficult for you, like, you may have an even harder time, kind of going through or completing this class. So that's just something I just wanted to add about truth, because a lot of times people think truth is good or bad. It has no shade. It has no character. It just is. I'm going to bring in a caller really quick. I think this is a Skype call. Greetings.
Greetings, Sister Kim. Greetings, family.
Hey. Please, Brother Name. How are you? I'm well.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
I just wanted to contribute to the conversation. So it's since the last show, I was like meditating and focusing on the energy of like transmutation and how to bend energy to kind of convert it, transform it into a different polarity that's with your intention. And SU came up, funny that you mentioned SU, and I drew out a Veve of SU, and I always keep it like on the door. And when you look into the Veve, I don't know, I was always trying to kind of work it out. Why is it across certain designs that are in the Veve as well? And because they can for meaning, but I did see the duality, the symmetry thing in there, and it made me think, okay, if there's like symmetry, and there's a duality and polarity within everything, so there isn't a thing of wrong or right. There's like you said the last show on Sunday, there's like the way or many ways of doing things according to where you want to go. And I came across this video. There seems to be this movement going on from the continent in Nigeria where they're hashtagging Eshu is not Satan. If you put that in, yes.
I've seen it.
There's some interesting, very informative videos, which I kind of would recommend people to expand on what you're saying about Eshu not being Satan. They're good little videos. Yeah. I mean, the cane and stuff like that, or the staff, it just made me think. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's to do with something. Maybe when we have like something bad happens in our life or something like that, the message or the ashe that comes to us, we're like, oh, this is so bad. Why is this happening? But it's because Eshu delivered the message in a way so to kind of like give you a deeper meaning, a deeper understanding, understanding of the path that you're choosing. But he does present all of the sort of ways and the consequences of the outcomes. So linking that back to transmutation and how we can harvest this energy, I was thinking of like maybe different ways, things like reversing certain symbols, or maybe that are used this time of year, or changing colors of things, like all of these type of things that came to me. So yeah, I don't know like what you think about that. I don't know whether that's transmutation or if that's something else
I think, if you resolving symbols, I think it is a form of transmuting something. I honestly, I'm trying to think if I ever tried to do that. I don't think I haven't I don't think reverse a symbol and use it like in an actual ritual or anything. But of course, I think that is definitely a way to transmute energy or to change the energy around. You know what I mean? So how can you incorporate that? If you have an experience with it, let us know.
Yeah, sure thing. Mm-hmm. And I picked up the book last night, Grasping Root.
Oh, good.
Obviously, that came up in your conversation again.
Yeah.
And you guys were kind of referencing that book quite a lot. I done that last night. And I turned to the Divination, the 5th position OB. It's just great to see the duality in that. Even, for example, when you get the Alafia, there's a duality in that.
Right.
And this is a great tool for those who are trying to kind of decide things or increase their psychic ability, link into your third eye reference you said earlier, like the work that you can be doing right now. And that's what came to me last night, is the divination.
And it's part of the training too, as well, to learn how to properly do it. But the book gives you very detailed instructions on how to do something, very basic 5 position. And then when you graduate from the 5 position, of course, you have 9 position, which is a little bit more involved. But the directions are there to learn how to interpret that as well. That's why it's good to be taking the class and doing the book at the same time, because you'll learn a little bit more about how to see into 9 position. But 5 position is really a good basic, tool. And it's something that you can teach your kids to do. That's really easy to do as well. So it's something that they can start doing. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. But it is required that you have that book too to go along with the class. So, in making your daily libations or affirmations and everything, that kind of helps you get through it, because at the end of, I think it's June next year, when they have the phase 1 challenge or whatever, I think you're going to be tested on some of the things covered in the class and in the book. And so learn those prayers, learn those adores in there for each energy. But another good thing is that, like, it also teaches you how to set up an ancestral shrine. There's so much information in that little book. Like I said, that book will probably be falling apart by the time you're done with it, because you'll find you'll be going back and forth, doing things, with that book.
What brother Anwar was saying earlier about. Sorry. I think there's a bit of a delay because I'm on Skype. But what brother Anwar was saying earlier about being kind of a linear sort of thinker, starting from point A, right to Z. And if you look at the structure of the book, you have to deal with that self first. One of the, I think, errors or lessons that I learned, it's not an error anymore, but I saw that if I followed the steps chronologically in that order, I kind of would have got a more sort of more preferable result compared to sort of jumping onto sections, based on whim. Like, this is cool, let me go on this page. Because before the Orisha part, it's the divination stuff. So if you haven't got that psychic ability developed, like, how are you going to go into the Orisha part?
Yeah. That's why he always tells everybody not skip sections in the training. And we have had so many people to do that. They'll call, they'll send a question in to customer service and say, I'm trying to access lesson, 10 or 11 or something. Why can't I go to it? And it's like, no, because the video that you're supposed to watch before you even start the class tells you that you're supposed to do these things in sequential order, and there's a reason for that, because you have to kind of be built up to get to that part. Because one of the things with divination is like, if you're off, or if your degree is off, and if all these things are out of whack, like the answers are not going to come out like they're supposed to. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get the answers that you should be getting. And then you have, like we were talking about Eshu, it's trickster energy that will kind of mess around with you too. So you have to make sure that certain things are in order before you get that part. Because we had some people that just came for divination, but divination is not like fortune telling. A lot of people don't get that. Like you said, certain things have to be developed before you can do that. And so many people think it's just throwing the shells and and just reading it, and it's just not. It's just not. So yeah.
Yeah, because there's a meditation part, like after each casting, that you do.
Yeah. There's a lot that you have to do. Even, just how to even take care of your own oracles, how to take care of your own tools. There's so much that goes into it, we just have a really kind of westernized outlook on a lot of things. You know what I mean? It's like we have this really microwave kind of mentality, like, just give it to me, let me do it. Just give it to me, let me do it. Just give me the information, let me do it. You know what I mean? It's like, because the way religion and everything is dispensed to us, in Western culture, it's like, you're just given a set of doctrines, boom, just follow it. Do not do this, do not do that, do not do this, do not do that, and just follow it. You know what I mean? And African spirituality doesn't really work that way. And, even you all were speaking about linear thought. One of the things that you're going to find, like even going through this class, is that you're not necessarily going to be linear thought is not really African thought. It's like you're going to kind of be doing a lot of things at once. Like as you're going through these lessons, you're going to be like, oh, well, what about this? Oh, what about that? Oh, I had this experience. Oh, what about that? Like multiple things are going on at one time. You know what I mean? So it's not so cookie cutter. It's not like step 1, do this, step 2, do that, step 3. There are directions, but these lessons unfold so many different things. So it's going to be so many different things occurring at once. And this is why you may have to go through the class like 3 times, because there's so much
we're
happening.
Not used to it.
Right, because you're not used to it. And the first time you go through it, you're really just kind of following the directions. The second time you go through it, you may be a little bit more clear on what you're doing. And then by the third time, it's like, okay, now I'm in it. Now you can really probably start to see what it is you're actually doing. So it's so things aren't necessarily linear in African thought. Anwar was talking about the spiral or the helix, which is how things spiral out of nature, and that's so true. And that's kind of how these things work, even within the class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also talk about melanin as well.
Right, right.
God.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was still
sorry. Okay.
inside there.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, I went to the 5th section, and I find that I actually decided to go back and start again.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't go, but I just feel like it's something that I was doing more like a textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than truly understanding it on a deeper level. So now, being at the point that I am now, I'm actually going back to the beginning and doing it all over.
Yeah, and you still won't get it. I'm gonna be honest with you, like, it's because it's so multi-layered. Like, there's still gonna be some things you don't get. You know, but it takes time. You know what I mean? It does take time, but get through it once and then go back and do it again. Is what I always say. You're gonna do it probably 3 times. So just settle in. It's gonna take a while. So, yeah. But for those of you listening, if you would like to join, we've had quite a few people to sign up recently too for Phase 1 training. Just go to seduluhouse.com, or you can even get to it through the app. So make sure you download the app. It's Divination, and that's in the Google Play Store. So if you have an Android phone, you should be able to download it. The Apple version is coming a little bit later. Okay. All right, so we got about 25 minutes left. If you have any questions or comments, or like to discuss anything, or have a question about something, just press the number 1 for those of you who are on the line, or you can call in at 515-605-9862. All right, Brother Nahum, how are the classes going for you?
Yeah, the classes have been on pause for quite a while, and I logged on last week, strong, and saw I was at the section of the elements. Okay. And the ritual that's involved there. So I'm at a blockage in terms of having the space. Yeah. To kind of do that at the moment because of my living arrangement. And also, something personally as well, I've been a bit lazy with that. So we could all say this excuse of living, but if you want something to really work, you're going to find find a way to make it work. Find a way to get it done. So it's been not laziness on that part. So found it really, really, truly enlightening, to try to go through that build up. And when you get to once you learn about the polarities, and then you sort of master the 5 elements, you can kind of, you look around. I know I do anyway, but I look out in nature for those things, and I just begin sort of observing and trying to label those things. Oh, this element means this object is this polarity, that object's that polarity, this object's fire, and then try to sort of like bring it in again to I was looking at, sorry to go back to the divination again, but the casting surface as well, relating that to the elements as well. So that's how far I am with it. And judging from the other callers, I think Brother Justin, he said that you had to go the sort of like the rituals the exercises that you have to partake in are quite sort of like you're more involved, physically involved in things. So that's what I get from that. So I'm kind of looking forward to that tipping point, of complete sort of change. Did I drop out?
Yeah, just for a second, but you're back. Yeah. Some of those exercises are long. They last for days. So it can take a minute to get through some of them. One of the things I suggest, actually, starting in January, we're putting together a schedule so everybody can kind of get together and move through the exercises together. So we'll be putting out little videos to kind of give you a time frame of when to do it. Kind of some tips to get through it, and things like this to try to get everybody moving collectively through it and complete it by June. So look for that, really, really soon. But some of those exercises take a long time. One of the things I did before I got started was, first of all, I just printed out all of the lessons and started a binder. and then went through and tried to at least gather all the materials that I was going to need for everything, or at least for the first half of the lesson, to try to gather everything, all the materials, and kind of store them somewhere. So I'd have them so I wouldn't have an excuse, oh, I couldn't find this, so I'll wait another week. Oh, I couldn't find that, wait another week. You know what I mean? So I couldn't keep prolonging it. I was just trying to make sure I already had all those things, kind of in my arsenal before I got started. But look for that coming in January, where we kind of roll that out, and that might help you a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to go to another caller real quick. This is 864. Brother Nam, you can just mute your mic, and if you want to jump back in, just unmute yourself. Okay? Thank you for calling, by the way. 864.
Greetings. This is Pedro.
Peace, Pedro. How are you?
I'm doing all right, riding around. I just picked up my aunt so she could babysit for me, so
okay,
I can get back on this work with the scripts and stuff.
Okay.
So
it's moving on along.
Yeah, I sent you an email too.
Yeah, I got it. I just haven't had time to get back to you just yet.
Oh yeah, I know you're busy and all,
Mm-hmm.
So I ain't in no rush because we still actually trying to. We want to get we got cameras, but we want to get an extra one, really an extra better one. You know what I'm saying? That'll make the the view a little bit more clear or whatever. We got some good ones now, but we just want some better ones, whatever. We still just trying to get it all together, so it's not it's not in no rush and nothing. Just trying to get the word out, and not out too much because we don't want nobody to take our idea or whatever.
Ain't nobody gonna take your idea. You probably took somebody else's idea.
I know that, right?
So many documentaries out. You be surprised. Somebody probably already did it. But just do it the way you do it. Put your spin on it. That'll set yours apart from everybody else's. Nobody has a monopoly on any particular idea.
Yeah, that's why I say I don't want to just keep it simple. Everybody's putting out these informational documentaries about our people, but we're gonna give another little spin on it.
Okay.
But as far as like the class, I had forgot to send in an email because I actually like like you were just saying the first activity, you got to pretty much be prepared for it, whatever. But what happened was, like, I actually made it to the element stage, to the element activity, and I didn't get to that one. I'm still on that one, but right when I was on that one, the class, that's when he switched it to the Dulu house.
Okay.
So I just have to go back and pretty much input, everything I did up to then.
Yeah.
But the question I got is, like, my power went out. It was like, it might have been last year. The power went out, and I wasn't at home. And my wife, of course, you looking for some candles and stuff. And she forgot that I used that candle for the first activity.
Oh, okay.
So I would need to do that activity again, wouldn't I? Because
did you
that
complete
candle.
it?
I completed it. So just do it again.
If you feel like you need to do it again, do it again.
Cause I know it said you're supposed to keep the candle, so I didn't know if it was, on down in the class, if you might have to use the candle again, or, because I didn't just keep going,
Yeah. If the directions say to keep the candle, keep the candle. So if you don't have it anymore, definitely, you might want to do it again.
Yeah.
And that's something else I just want to let everybody know. Make sure you follow the directions to the letter. Don't substitute anything. Don't use a red candle instead of a black candle. Don't say, oh, I don't have this, so I'll just use that. Make sure you use the ingredients that are specified, as they are specified. They were chosen for a reason. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, that might be something you want to do over again.
Yeah, that's
Go
what
back.
I'm just do that over again, and because it's been bothering me for a minute, because
yeah, if it's bothering you, then you know you need to do it again.
Yeah, that's why I save it. It's just been trying to keep everything together around the house and stuff, man. I got 4 children, so.
Oh, okay.
And 2 of them babies.
So they in everything.
I have to keep them away from issue and all. Like they rough. But yeah, that's another thing too, man. The issue, like with my experience, at first, like you say, you doing your divinations and all, and keeping up with that, and starting out with SU first. Like I did SU probably for about 7 months, just SU. And things was really like picking up. I kept a good amount of money in my pocket. Everything was flowing real good and easy. But when I like try to incorporate other Orishas, like I did, I went ahead and did the Shango and Oya Veve. And so I started, after I do my SU, I would go do the Shango or Oya, on a certain day, Thursday or Wednesday or whatever, that, I try to always apply the days, even though I know you can probably do it every day, but I just try to go by the day because I don't want to corrode myself with all types of energies, I like to keep it simple.
All those energies are already existing in you and in nature, so that can't happen.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like as far as invoking energy that I may need more of this energy at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. So, but when I was doing it, it was like I had like as I was working with them, my boost jumped up even more, but like it was, I can't remember exactly what happened. I got off course with with how I was working with them, and I had stopped. I think it was like I stopped for like a week because I was working and doing all kind of other stuff or whatever, and I wasn't like I was just switching the water out and lighting incense. I wasn't applying, I wasn't giving them the airway or talking to them like I was. And stuff came to a standstill. So it kind of just like let me know that, if you're gonna do this, whatever you start, you need to keep it up. Cause it was like I felt like me not doing that, or from what I started, it's like it just had me at a standstill. Like, people weren't even calling me. It was crazy. It was like I ain't even get no phone calls from nobody. So it was like, trying to stick with it is where I'm at now, and getting it back on that level to where, I'm content with what I'm doing and feel good about what I'm doing. So that's what I say. That's where I'm at now with my experience, just making sure I can keep something that I can keep up, and be content with it to where I can either do it, daily, or just, even if I just feel good where I can skip a day, like, hell, I did this, so that'll pull me over to the next day or whatever. I just have to get to that content stage. I got to get back to that now.
Where do I start? Are you working with your Ori?
Yeah, I do Ori. Like I meditate, talk to myself. I done started back writing my dreams since she told me to do that. And and it's crazy because I've been dreaming more.
Good. Good. What I mean by working with your Ori is like, are you, because before you can go to the Orisha, you need to have, a good connection to your Ori, because your Ori commands the Orisha. So, like on the Sedulu House site, there are several rituals of how to feed and cleanse your Ori. So that's one thing. That's one thing that needs to be done, like on a regular basis, like daily.
Yeah.
On top of working with the Orisha, because sometimes you'll find like if that's straight, you don't have to work with the Orisha so much. You don't necessarily have to work with them as much if that is straight, because that's your connection to your soul. So you're trying to get that spirit and your soul in alignment with one another. So if you kind of can keep the communication straight there, you don't really need Orisha for a whole lot, to be honest with you. And you heard Chief say, like, you don't really need Orisha like that if your character and if your Ori is intact. You don't necessarily need them. But even working with the Orisha, like, you have to think of it as like you're trying to build a relationship with somebody. So when you set up your shrine or your altar or whatever, you have to look at it as like a portal or like a meetup spot. Like this is where we're gonna meet up every time. Like so you have to infuse that particular spot with energy. You have to build that ashe up in that particular spot. So like most of the time our shrines are supposed to be outside, but some of us don't have that option. So you may have them in the house. But when you're making your offerings and you're trying to charge that area, just think about what you're doing. Just like you would, I don't know, build up the energy in anything, in a relationship, in a, whatever it is you're doing, you have to feed it. So it's like you're trying to pour out energy and trying to charge that particular area up, so that when you do need to come to it, like it's already charged up, it's there. So like me personally, there are certain energies I work with all the time. Like Eshu is definitely one of them. So whenever I get ready to do some work, like Eshu comes up super fast. It doesn't take me long. It may take a couple of minutes. Like as soon as I go to it, it's like it's there. The energy is there. It's because I work with it so often. Now, some of the others may take a little bit longer because I don't feed those shrines as often as as I should, or I don't use them as often as I should. But like your ancestral shrine, your Ori, Eshu, like for me, those are like the main three that I definitely am on all the time.
Yeah.
And then you'll start to once you start to build a relationship with each one, you'll kind of know what it is you need to do to activate that shrine or to bring that energy out when you go to it. So you don't have to try to guess about what you need to offer or what you need to do when you want to come to that energy to, do some work. And of course, if you're going through the class, to, cast Obi each time to make sure that the energy is present, to make sure that what you're putting on the shrine is what's needed, all these different things. But like I said, all that comes with, kind of taking your time and going through the steps of each lesson.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad. Let me bring Brother Anwar back in. I think his call had dropped. He called back. Peace. Anwar, are you there? Okay, it's breaking up. You're breaking up just a little bit. Let's see. Okay, maybe you'll come back in. I can't really hear you.
Right here. You got me.
Okay.
I'm in.
I got you.
I'm in. Give me the ball.
You're in.
Rudolph, where you at? But I wanted to chime into something Brother Nam was talking about with his process with grasping the root of divine power.
Mm-hmm.
one thing I am like right now, I'm stuck in that orderly section, and whenever I deal with like certain things, dealing with my certain things I want to do with the Orisha, I'll reference back to that. But I just recently, I've had the book for about a year, and I just recently got into the Divination section. And and even on that note, I didn't even go read the whole thing. I only read the story of Obi and the kola nut. Because I personally feel I'm just not ready for that just yet. I don't think I need that right now. I just got my classes today, so I think that's going to go hand in hand whenever I go through that. So I just everything goes in fragments for me. Like I said, the way I read in a lot of fragments, and I try to apply a lot of things that I read first. Instead of just reading a whole bunch of information, I like to work. What I've noticed with Chief's book, like if I'm reading like stuff like this that's more instructional, I'll do a quick glimpse and try to read as much as I can all the way through, but I'll go step by step and just deal with the things that I need to deal with first. Like the Ori for like I said, for the last year for me has been one of the main focuses. So I've been really stuck in that section. I've been studying my Adoras, and I've been just reading my Adoras. And those are just the important pieces right now for me, So I just think I don't think it's like for people that are just reading the book, and that's how I've been reading the book. I don't think it's animate or important that you just read the Divination or just read the whole book and think you got it all. I think you should really focus in on the key parts first initially, especially dealing with Ori, because like you'll read the first couple pages where he talks about the mind and who you're praying to and all these instructionals that he's giving you inside of this book, and you'll realize that he's absolutely right. I need to work on the character that I have in the Ori that I'm possessing right now, because it's dirty and it's not gonna work. It's not gonna be functional if I start doing readings and start doing all types of rituals and meditation. Yeah, it's kind of getting. It's kind of aligning yourself. Is getting yourself in line for your next motion. So,
right.
That's one of the things I wanted to chime in about.
Okay. Yeah. That, like I said, grasping the root of divine power is almost like it does read, like a regular book, I guess you could say, but it's like it's not something that you can just read one time and be like, okay, yeah, I got it, or a couple of times or 2 or 3 times and be like, yeah, okay, I got it. Like you're gonna find yourself going back to sections frequently, to revisit some of the things. Even as you're progressing in the class as well, like you're gonna find yourself saying, "Oh, I remember you said something about that. Where's the book? Like he said something about that in this part of the book. Let me go back and read that." Because these things will start to sync up and they'll start to line up and start to make more sense to you. Then you'll start to pay attention to the symbols on the page. Oh, why is this symbol at the bottom of the page? Why did he put this symbol? Oh, I get it now. And all these different layers of how the book is even put together will start to make sense to you. Like things that you didn't pick up the first 10 times, like it's like, oh, now I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On top of just trying to memorize, OB and and the Adoras and everything, or how to set up an altar. It's like there are really, really subtle things going on in that book that you don't pick up the first few times.
Right.
So it's
funny. It's funny that you talk about the symbols, because when I first got the book, and I had asked Chief on Chief Speaks one time about his particular sigil, and he broke it down to me a little bit. He gave me the stuff I needed at the time, and I came to find out it's like an S shoe. The sigil is an S shoe sigil. And I'm still learning. I'm not saying I know it all. No, never do. But it was funny that it came up. The funny thing is, it just recently came up, and I've had the book for over a year. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you'll catch little stuff. You know, the more you learn, like I said, you'll go back and be like, oh, I remember that was, you know, oh, now I get that. And then you'll go back and revisit it again. Or, oh, I remember, you know, or, you know, just different parts of the book will start to kind of pop out at you or grab your attention as you're going through these different exercises and just learning different things in the class. So it's one of those, that's why the book is you have to have the book to get through the class. You just have to. And then you'll start to remember shows, you know, oh, I remember he did a show on that. Let me go back and listen to that show. Oh, you know, because even the divination, the section on divination, Brother Nam, if you're still there, like there's a couple of shows. There are a couple of shows that he did on divination to help you learn how to get better at that. You know, of course, you're going to go over it in the class, but he goes into more detail in some of the archive shows. So all this stuff kind of works together. You know, it's like when you take the class, you're not just taking just the class. You have to have the class, the books, and I'm saying books plural, like all the books. You got to listen to the shows because they all kind of work together. Like some people have questions, like because maybe you didn't find all the answers in the book, but he's covered them in the shows. So it's like,
that's right,
again, again, you're coming into a culture. And so you have to kind of, again, eat and digest all the parts of the culture to really get a full picture of what's going on here. You can't just take one part of it and say, oh, okay, I got it. Because all of it works together, all of the shows. You know, Masterminds Monday, Anu Asafo, Thunderground Thursday, Foundational Friday, Chief Speak. You know, all of these shows have so much information in them, kind of sprinkled all over. Like, it's going to take you a while to get it. But it's like, again, in trying to understand the culture of Anu, like, all these are components of that culture. Like, again, some of the exercises, like you may not be able to find the answers in the books, but I guarantee you'll find the answers in the show. So you almost have to like just start with the first show. And I think that was, what was that about? I think it had something to do with Ori and the soul or something like that. So go to Blog Talk or go to Enlightenment and Transformation. Just start at the beginning. You know what I mean? And maybe like every day or so, or every couple of days or whatever, listen to a show. Because I guarantee you, listening to those shows is going to help you through the class, and it's going to help you understand the things in the book a whole lot better.
And if you have any connection to your soul at all, and if you're more aware of it, it will take you on a journey. Each show will take you on a journey. And I've had that experience. You know, you listen to a show about Eshu, and then all of a sudden you're going through a whole bunch of things. So
right. That's what I'm saying. Sure.
I just wanted to say it's one of the prerequisites of the course is to actually like go to the archive shows. You know about the Ori and the Orishas. So like you're saying, you know, that is, it's all integrated. And also we're so used to, I know I am, I mean, when I was in school, I struggled in the beginning to kind of sort of understand the mindset of the teacher. Because I used to think in a different sort of way. So the teacher basically would get us to regurgitate the information. And, you know, the exercises, there was wrong and right answers. And, you know, we were kind of socialized in a hidden way, you know, obviously open way as well, to kind of go along with that way of thinking. You know, there is a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and this is the status quo. So you go off and into other institutions, and that same mindset is reinforced.
Right.
So now comes along something indigenous, which
Mm-hmm.
is certainly telling us to think, in a holistic way.
Right.
It's foreign. It is, we have problems with it. So,
yeah.
That's a sort of a key thing there that I began to sort of realize that,
yeah, definitely.
Maybe this is why I had problems even back at school, because I always used to question the teachers about everything, and that was seen as being disruptive, because in my mind I had alternative ways of thinking,
right?
But they wanted me to think in this very linear sort of very tunnel visioned way.
It's just programming. They were programming you. I learned really early on in school. I was like, oh, I just have to memorize this stuff long enough to regurgitate it for a test. Okay, good. I'm not internalizing a lot of it. I'm just, make sure I memorize it long enough to take the test, get an A, and on to the next thing. And then, and people wonder why, like, Americans have such a hard time, like, even after you've had all this education, they can't implement a lot of, you can't do anything. Even when you start a new job, like, they train you for what you're supposed to, to what you're supposed to be doing, because you don't actually do anything with all this information. It's just memorization. And so when you come along and you take a class like this, where you have to, of course, memorize some things, but when you have to implement it and act in it and demonstrate it in your life and do all these things, it's like completely foreign to us, because we come to the class with that westernized mindset of, oh, okay, I'm gonna knock this out in 6 months, whatever. Let me get this done. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, boom, boom. Okay, what's supposed to happen? I have, gotten emails like that where people have been given rituals to do, and they're like, okay, I did it. What's supposed to happen? I didn't see anything happen. Did I miss it? I'm supposed to see something, and just kind of taking a cooking recipe attitude towards the work. Like, that's not how it works. It's not going to work that way. So you have to really shift your mind. Chief was saying, like, all these series of books that he was doing was really designed to get your African mind back. And that's so important, because we don't think with an African mind, because we've been so westernized, and because we have that programming. We got to kind of kick that old programming out and get this programming in, and it's completely different. I remember one thing, one teacher I had such a hard time with, is like, because, like Brother Nam said, like, you learn a concept in school and then maybe you implement it. They teach it to you kind of like that way. But it's like, sometimes in African culture, like, no, we're talking about it, we're writing it, we're making it up, and we're doing it all at the same time. It's like, most of the time in science or in chemistry, like, we, the experiment is written out, we have our little hypotheses or whatever, and then we work it out, see where we made a mistake. But like in African culture, it's like, no, sometimes we have to do all this at the same time. So it's not linear, and our minds just aren't programmed to work that way. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have to write the rules as we go. And we're just not wired.
That reminds me of something that was said earlier, and something came to mind when I said it. Like, when my dad told me about pragmatic thinking and straightforwardness on his job, right? What I remembered about it was that there was a mission. He went to go get the job to get money, to get paid. So there was a point where he just went straight forward. Now, inside of the circular thought, that idea was inside of a circular thought. And as Africans, we think circular, right? So that thought shot out of that disc, to go get the money or to do that task. And yeah, it didn't come out directly straightforward like we were saying earlier. It came out in a swirl. But there was a point. The point what I was trying to make, the point that I was making is that there was a direct intent to go this way, straight here, and that comes out when you have a target, when you have something projected, you have a trajectory that you make from that black disc, and that's the point that I was trying to have with that, because circular thinking is where everything is going to be housed in. And then until it breaks out the house and finds a trajectory, that's when it goes forward. So, and then that's what I got out of that conversation also too. So I just wanted to touch on that one more time.
Okay. Yeah, things in nature don't always travel in a linear path. I remember even, just going through school, like even how math is taught, like you start off linear. They're teaching you linear math. You get basic math. They teach you how to add, subtract, divide. All these things like that. The basics are very linear. You really don't even get to how things are actually move in nature until you get to the higher applications of math, when you get into calculus and when you get into all these other things, because now they're looking at different planes of existence and how things move, and you'll start to see that you'll have to imagine these things moving in a helix or different spirals, and they'll let you know that like time isn't even linear like this. Like things don't travel in a straight line in nature. And if you look at anything in nature, you'll see that. You'll see, what they call the Fibonacci pattern. You'll see these spiraling patterns. And a lot of things, or even just how life is even created, nothing is traveling in a straight line. But that linear thinking is so boxed in, and it's so fundamental. It's so flat. It's just completely flat. Not until you move into those higher sections of math does your world expand, and you see, oh, okay, the world's not flat. We have we have an X, Y, Z. We have all these different planes now that we have to work with. Now you got to take that linear thought that you had and now kind of change it up and say, no, we live in a 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional, multi-dimensional world. So now how do we apply all this stuff? And that's why when you're going through the class or anything else, you have layers of things going on at once. Like there's not just one outcome. You have so many things. Something's happening to you in your personal life, something's going on in the class, something happened with the ritual, something happened, you had this experience, you finally understand this is what he's talking about in Grasping the Root of Divine Power. Oh, you remember a show? I remember he said something about that in the show. Let me go back to the show. Oh, I remember that, all this stuff just kind of starts to happen. And you see all these different layers of what was going on. So you can't approach the class that way or expect to really get it that way. Or even when you're working, and doing rituals, you can't just expect, 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. I did this, I did that. Okay, where's my prize? Where is it? Give it to me. I asked for some money. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. So African thought is like multi-layered. It's multi-dimensional. It's not flat and linear. So anyway, I just wanted to
there was an exercise I did a long time ago with the fruit of life or the tree of life or the flower of life. If you guys ever get a chance to look at it, draw it up one time, and you'll see just the layers inside of the first set when you're developing just a tree. And then once you get from there, you start building the fruit, and then you start looking at all the flower and so forth and so on. You'll see the layers inside of that sequence that you do, and that will help you break down, calculus. Let's just say calculus, trigonometry. That will help you break down how the relations of angles were working and how the bend and how there's just so many ways one point could get to another point, and that helped me. That helped me just by physically doing it. Real simple to do too.
Yeah. Or just, again, like you were saying, some of this, it was so interesting when I was going through it, going through chemistry and having to take all this different math. I was like, okay, why did we start off with this? I'm like, why do we have to do all this linear stuff first? Because it made so much more sense. Because I remember initially I had such a hard time because I had been so programmed to think in a linear way. And now you're telling me, oh, things change. Oh, now we have the X, Y, and a Z axis. You're telling me I have to rotate this image in my head and come up with, all this different kind of stuff. So it was like, trying to break from that linear training of thought it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a minute, but again, that is how things exist in nature. Nothing travels in a straight line or is flat.
That's funny that it's funny that you had problems with the linear part. The linear part was the easiest part for me, but it wasn't until I got to like trig and calculus. That's when I kind of differentials and all that stuff. That threw me completely off. So I don't, whichever way. I don't know if that's a male and female difference there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But definitely. Truth. Truth.
Yeah. So I tell these things will start to come out. You'll start to understand it more. Just take your time as you go through the class and everything. And again, if you want to sign up for it, make sure you go to theduluhouse.com or download the app from your phone. Okay. So we've actually gone over the time a little bit. Again, make sure you tune in Thursday for the show. Again, it's probably going to be more women on the call than men. But if you would like to listen in, that's fine. I guess we'll let y'all in. I guess. But we'll be back again on Thursday. And make sure you check out all the classes. Again, check out the app. Start communicating with each other. And let's see, what else have we got going on? Yeah, look out for the changes coming in January. And until Thursday, you all enjoy your day. Thank you for calling in. And
you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.
You too.